where everybody kind of knew it's like, dude, this dude is special. But he did kind of have that little bit of a hole. And welcome to it. Everybody, not everybody, but a lot of people get better at what they do over time, right? And so Miles is kind of, scarily, kind of coming into his own right now. Imagine that guy running full speed at you while you're trying to think and then throw something. Unbelievable. That's a hard job, man. That's a hard job. There's a lot of obstacles in my way today. One of them is not Myles Garrett, thank the dear Lord. That would just be a brutal, every segment I screwed up, Myles gets to tackle me in the hallway. Awful. I want no part of that, dude. I want absolutely no part of that. Myles, big yesterday. Just disruptive, man. That defense is just nasty. Dustin Hopkins was a great pick for a 7th-round pick in 2025. We talked about that with Scott Oden. Jim Schwartz. Good God. The best thing to happen to Cleveland since the Roman burger. I don't know. I don't know what else. The guy's just amazing. Again, that's the bulk of the staff that was already here. They added a player or two, yes. But the bulk of that staff is the staff. Denzel out yesterday after part of that game. You think, oh my God, what are we going to do now? Next man up, man. Let's go. I got these guys coached up. They're ready to play. You got to love that. You got to love it. Are the Browns a Super Bowl contender? ESPN wanted to know. I don't want to rain on the parade, but maybe this is my pessimism coming out here a little. I say no right now. And it is partially due to the quarterback. Deshaun was awful in the first half of that game yesterday. Awful. Bad. Like you and I bad. Resilient, though. It's a little injury to the ankle. Don't care. Give me the rock. Let me throw it. I'm better than all these dudes. Let me sling it. Balled out. Played pretty damn good in the second half of that game. We now need, much like people were saying about Myles, buddy, we need you to make these sacks in big plays, big moments. Well, Deshaun's almost got the opposite problem. Homie, the first quarter matters too, man. We kind of need him. We're yet to see Deshaun Watson, by the way, play 4 quarters of complete quarterback football. Now, really, when most games happen, most quarterbacks aren't doing that every week. It can kind of look like they are because you just watch the highlights and we see the box score, we see the score and all of that. Yes, it can look like that, but that's not really the reality. It's more often than not they're overcoming when they didn't play great. In an area, in a spot, a missed throw here. But we're yet to see 4 quarters of even competent football out of him. It's either feast or famine right now with him. And it feels okay this morning because you got a big win on the road against a divisional opponent. So this feast tastes great. Meat's cooked perfectly. All the sides are seasoned well. You get a great meal today. But it kind of needs to get back to, dude, you're feeding us all 4 quarters now. That way I never get to the point to where I'm starving. If he starts to do that, this team is going to be scary. And by the way, on the Super Bowl thing, I'm going to say no as a contender, but I think it's my pessimism. But what I will say is this. This team screws around and gets in the playoffs, you don't want to play them. You don't. They have the belief they can beat you. They have the defense that says they can beat you. And if their quarterback starts to get hot now, this part of the season moving forward, oof. Look how big winning in the NFL is, by the way. Anybody talking about the weeks he wasn't playing? Nobody. Absolutely nobody. Doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. He was there for Baltimore and he won. Doesn't matter the weeks he didn't play now. Winning fixes everything.
Give Stansberry a piece of your mind. Use the talkback feature on the iHeartRadio app and let him know just how wrong he is. It's just wrong. The Stansberry Show on Rock 106.9.
I'm going to get you into Wizards of Winter here in a moment. We attempted to do that last hour, but there was a little bit of a phone issue. I have resolved that, I believe. So we're able to give those out. Wizards of Winter will be at the Canton Palace Theater December 1st. CantonPalaceTheater.com is where you can buy your way in. Win your way in with me here momentarily. I've had a little bit of a strange thing happen this morning. There's a guy who listens to the show a lot. His name's Mitch. Good guy. As far as I know, he'll write in a lot and we communicate like that. I've never met him or anything, but I'll communicate with people. And apparently he had asked me this yesterday online, and I did a good job this weekend of not being on my phone a touch. As a matter of fact, Saturday I read not a single thing. Not a thing. I didn't read social media. I didn't read a thing off my phone on Saturday. It was one of the best days I've had in a while. Like, it just felt good to, like, unwind a little, right? But Mitch had believed that he had seen me yesterday in New Philly. I'm not down there a ton, in golf. In the middle of golf season, probably a little bit more likely to see me down there, as Oak Shadows is down there in that region, and I like that course. And so you may see me down there a little bit more often in the middle of summer, although I didn't play that much golf this year. But Mitch was convinced he saw me, and I was like, nah, man, like, I wasn't in New Philly. I don't know what you're talking about. So this morning I just kind of responded. I was like, look, man, I was like, I appreciate you being on the lookout, apparently, you know what I mean? Or whatever it was. But I was home all day. I said to him, I was like, dude, I have no idea what you're talking about. And he wrote right back. He goes, it's all good, dude. I know it was you. It's fine. I get it. Like, I guess implying the fact that, like, you know what I mean? I would lie about it, which I don't know why I would. I've told you before, this job makes you recognizable, not famous. And so it's not like you're like, Jesus, dude, TMZ's here again. It's not like that. I mean, people will talk to you. Yes. People will say hello to you. Yes. People will sometimes express their displeasure with what you have done. Sure, absolutely. But it's not so bad that you think, oh my God, I gotta hide now or put the cap down or some of the stuff you see actors and all of that stuff do. It's just not part of my life. It's just not that big of a problem for me, right? The people in my life normally have more problems and issues than I have with it. When you set out to do this for a living, that's what you're looking for. Part of what drives you is the fact that you feel like you have something in you that should make you, or could make you rather, not should, but could make you a little recognizable. And you want to be heard. You want to be seen. You want to be appreciated, right? And so you feel like you're not getting that in your life, so you push the chips into the center of the table. You go all in on a profession like this. So when you get it, you're happy about it, especially today. Because I have gotten this message from people sometimes. Hey, man, I saw you in the store yesterday. Didn't want to say nothing, but I do appreciate the show. It's good to see you out. Okay. So, and I understand that. And I'm not always having the best day out there, right? That can happen too. But we live in a world where the competition for your eyes and ears is heavier than ever before. So if you're choosing any amount of your time that you have at your disposal to spend with me, I am appreciative of that. Maybe now more than ever before. You got YouTube pulling you, DraftKings, the gambling, the porn sites, the social media, the podcasting, dude, everybody's begging for that attention. Everyone. So if you're giving me any bit of it, I'm appreciative of that. Thankful for it in this month. We're going to talk about how often the average person shows gratitude a little bit tomorrow on the program. But Mitch out there thinking I was lying to him. Buddy, I would love to meet you. I would love to meet you. I know that was not me. He said, he's like, dude, if that wasn't you, this guy looks exactly like you. Which now I feel bad for that son of a bitch, right? I mean, dude, my claim to fame isn't what I look like. It's what I sound like, my man. That's my claim to fame. That's where the money comes from. That's where the recognizable comes from. It ain't from what I look like. I mean, people ask me all the time, how'd you get in radio? Because I knew I was too ugly for TV. That's why. I mean, when I walked into the broadcasting program that I graduated from, I just kind of looked at it and was like, well, I wouldn't mind being on TV, but I bet people would mind me being on TV. So you know what? Let's just go with this instead. So that was kind of funny. Mitch, I was not in New Philly yesterday, buddy. I appreciate you. Next time I'm going down there, I'll let you know. And like I said, man, you can find me at Oak Shadows down there. That happens a lot. I do love that course. I do love that place. We were talking a lot about the NFL. obviously, because the Browns get a big win on the road yesterday in Baltimore. Victory Monday always makes it just much better. And a lot has been made over the quarterback play in Northeast Ohio with Deshaun Watson. And I even just said not that long ago, we kind of need to see 4 quarters of solid play out of this guy at some point. If you're going to make a deep playoff push, that's what you're going to need. You're going to need it. The Giants had one of their backups starting a game, Tommy DeVito. And Tommy went viral before the game over a quote about the fact that, yes, he is on an NFL roster and yet still living with his parents. So we're going to talk about this a little bit because I think people are making fun of him for no damn good reason. So we'll get to that next. But before we do, let's get you hooked up with these Wizards of Winter tickets. December 1st, Canton Palace Theater. You can buy your way in at cantonpalacetheater.com, or you could win your way in now. Caller 12 at 330-450-7625. Toll free at 800-243-7625. And we'll also rock the bank and give you your $1,000 keyword next on Rock 106.9.
Don't blame the station. We expected you to cancel him by now.
Well, my horoscope said that I shouldn't assume responsibility for anybody but myself.
The Stansberry Show on Rock 106.9.
Shout out to Jeff Newell. He won his way in to see Wizards of Winter. December 1st, Canton Palace Theater. I'll have those tickets for you all week on the show. CantonPalaceTheater.com. Your next opportunity to rock the bank. Grab another $1,000 keyword. Under an hour now, 10 a.m., Teresa will give you that second word of the day. You know, we spent a lot of today talking about the Cleveland Browns, and it's Victory Monday, right? And every Monday, no matter win or lose, it's like, there's some storylines coming out of the NFL. As a matter of fact, the age-old theory on the NFL has normally been that the better story is in the losing locker room, and it usually is. But the Browns won, so it's about Victory Monday. And a lot's been made over the quarterback play of Deshaun Watson. And I understand it. 5-1 as a starter, I believe. For this franchise. Or is that might just be this year. But playing pretty good. Now, it didn't start out good in that game yesterday. Rebound. Played better in the second half. He keeps getting better as the games go on. I love that. I absolutely love it. But Deshaun was not the only quarterback to get a bunch of headlines yesterday. The Giants, their starting quarterback, Daniel Jones, I believe, is injured. And the Giants had a big game on their hands against the Cowboys. And they're starting Tommy DeVito at quarterback. I looked this up. According to Google, Tommy is 25 years old. I hope Google is right about it. And he made some headlines because ESPN put this out, the NFL Network put this out. They were talking to him about his living arrangement. 25 years old, playing quarterback for one of the biggest franchises in the NFL, the Giants. They may not be one of the best, but they're a big franchise. And is still living at home with his parents. And so the quote was, "I don't have to worry about laundry. What I'm eating for dinner, chicken cutlets and all that is waiting for me when I get there. My mom still makes my bed. Everything is handled for me." Now, the mom still makes my bed part, I was like, geez, really? And turning your mother into your cook, like, I don't even tell her. She just knows. She better have dinner on the table, right? Like, there's a little bit of that, and some people were being critical of that. I think we're reaching there a little bit. I mean, let's be honest about mothers. They like feeding their children. They do, right? They especially like a grown-up son who would normally be out of their house. A little bit of the empty nesting that normally happens. I don't see my mom a lot. She lives in Las Vegas. My brother has to see her every day. I don't see her a lot. Every time I fly into Vegas, the first thing my mom asks me is, what do you want to eat all week? I'm going to go to the store. What do you want me to make you while you're here? She's asking me for me, but she's also asking me for her. Let's be honest about this. Because I normally look at her and be like, well, I'm probably going to go to the casino, or I'm going to go here. We're going to Red Rock tonight for dinner, right? Like, what are you doing? She wants to take care of me a little, right? So I think that's probably true of Tommy's mom, too. Tommy DeVito, NFL quarterback. It reminds me a little bit of that story we were talking last week about Caleb Williams crying after losing that game. And I said, well, I want to be critical here. My instinct is to be critical. But I don't think I can be critical on that. I've cried in here. So as much as I sit there and look at that Caleb Williams thing and go, that's a bad look. I don't know if I'd do that. I have done it. And I kind of feel like my first instinct when I saw this quote yesterday was to be super critical of this. But I don't think I can. I think I need to hold on to what my opinion has been. And we talked about this multiple times this last year. Multi-generational homes used to be the standard. But corporations convinced you that adulthood starts at 18. So get out of your parents' house. Take on this mortgage payment. Take on this rent payment. Struggle, man, because that's the part of adulthood. The struggle is where the sweetness is. Oh, by the way, can't make ends meet? Why don't you borrow this credit card at 19% interest? It will bleed you dry like Tony Soprano would. Nah, we ain't gonna break your legs. Don't worry about all that. We're gonna break your family's financial future for the rest of your natural born lives. You die, don't worry. We'll come after them kids for this goddamn money. Sign here on the dotted line, son. Now, I know what you're thinking. NFL quarterbacks make money and NFL players make money. Sure. I don't know what Tommy DeVito's being paid, but it ain't Daniel Jones money, and it damn sure ain't Deshaun Watson money. I wanted to be critical here, but this is what I've been saying. That it's built in you and I. Now, not everybody grew up in the house I did, and people like to remind me of this when we talk this subject. But it should be almost run-of-the-mill for children to stay at the home a little bit longer. Now, save money, yes. Don't just, don't make $2 million on OnlyFans and not contribute to the financial end of the house. Don't do that, right? Now, most of your kids aren't on OnlyFans, so let's not make it all about that. But the more money you save, the more prepared you are for the future. But that's not what society tells you. Society tells you get out there now. And why? They don't give a damn about your future. They don't give a damn about whether or not you're a grown-up. What they want is another consumer on the teat. That's what they want. It's a hustle. It's always been a hustle. Everybody talks a big game about who's out there trying to break up the traditional family model. And there are people who have a full-blown assault on traditional family values in this country. I don't think it's that hard to see it. It's literally everywhere around you. But we're also doing it too. It should almost be standard when you're done with college, you go back home and stay with mom and dad again. Your first salary isn't going to pay a lot of times what your last salary will, or once you have 10 years inside of your career field or whatever it is, right? And money's one of the most important things in the world. Now, Dave, if you have a good job and have a ton of money and you have investments and all that, his system isn't necessarily going to lead you to being a multimillionaire. It's not. If you make decent money and you think to yourself multiple times a month, I make more money than this. Where the hell is my money? You need Total Money Makeover. Part of this, why it looks so crazy, is why? Because athlete salaries have exploded. Michael Jordan will talk to you about this. Michael Jordan has talked about this. He was like, dude, guys just didn't get the bag off potential when I was coming in the NFL or the NBA. That's not what happened. We got paid a little bit of money, and then it was put up or shut up, and then that's how it went. With all due respect, Mike is kind of what changed that game. Everybody realized, no, dude, we might have to start paying attention to these rooks a little bit. These dudes can play a little. LeBron probably helped push that down the field, too. But I saw everybody trashing Tommy DeVito yesterday. In a country full of people telling me that morals are falling down. And there that man is, with a decent family structure, who's talking to you about the fact that he likes that. He likes having them. I don't know why this is a problem for X. I understand why it's a problem for the woman he may date, because he may have a little too much mommy syndrome going on. But we have been hell-bent on pushing children out of the homes to watch them suffer, and then what do? We blame the corporate CEOs for that struggle, which makes absolutely no sense whatsoever. We know what the struggle was. The struggle wasn't invented yesterday. The struggle was there when my parents were growing up. The struggle was there when I was growing up, and the struggle's there now. This isn't new. We didn't invent this yesterday. But how we go about entering adulthood is different. We now know. It's the science. The science now tells us that the brain's not even really fully developed until 24 years old. So what the hell are we pushing kids out at 17 and a half for? What are we doing it for? This guy, this NFL quarterback, 25 years old. So he's a year removed from the brain being fully...
You incinerating that I'm dumb but dumb?
The Stansberry Show.
Welcome back to the Stansberry Show. Teresa's going to rock the bank. I stumbled across this list of things. A lot of them are illegal now or just have gone by the wayside. The amount of times my mom would stop at like Convenience on the way home or 7-Eleven back in the day and like just be like, I'm going to be a minute. Like we would just like, sat in the car. Nobody looked at it different or weird because there was kids in every car in that parking lot. Now it's like everybody goes to Facebook and be like, how in the world could you leave? Like, oh. You know what I mean? It's like, well, it's literally what we all did. Now, windows down. I'm not talking about the baby dying in the car thing. That's not what we're talking about here. That is true. And I'm not saying we should go back to that. But that is totally one of those things that was just kind of normal, where you saw it all the time. Driving while talking on the phone is another one of those. Yeah, that's true. You know, before we had hands-free and all, going to make you crash the car has changed over time. These kids and their CD books in their car, they're just going to crash them up, right? There was that. The phone was going to make you do everything. Now, I do believe texting on the phone is probably more problematic for attention span on the road than talking on it. Now, most of us, you know what? A lot of us, that's the better way to say it, will have like the in-dash technology where your phone will connect to it. And you can just talk on your phone through there. This is just a personal thing. Mine used to automatically connect. And now when a phone call comes in, I have to actually press the screen, convert it over to the dashboard system, and then it was standard. Now, what some people are going to say is, you know, it used to be standard, driving without having the ability to communicate to somebody who might not be in the car with you. Coming to an end pretty quick. Right? Oh yeah, back in the day we did that, but it's been like this for so long with the phone in the car. I feel like being alone with your thoughts is going to be the same thing. 10 years from now, everybody's going to be like, yeah, dude, I remember being a kid, couldn't get enough of my grandma, right? Passively or anything, but they drank a little bit. And the amount of times they'd come and pick us up from the pool, and one of them would have a beer in the center console, it was just kind of like, well, it was the way it was. Now, I lived in a pretty quiet neighborhood then, too. And so I think people thought to themselves, it's really no big deal. Like, we're not, you know what I mean? As long as I'm not hammered, I can drink, you know, while I'm driving around, which I don't really understand. As a person who does not necessarily love the taste of alcohol, I like the effects of alcohol. Makes you more willing to, you know, have some sex, makes you a little more talkative. It makes boring nights out a little bit seem like they're fun and worthy of leaving the house, right? Like, I don't understand the idea of just wanting to drink a beer for the taste of it. I'm not necessarily, you know, hot after golf with a meal. If I go watch a Browns game somewhere, I want beer like this, that. But like, I've had the same 12-pack of beer in my house since I moved in the 1st of September. Same 12-pack of beer is sitting. The same. I brought all the alcohol bottles from my last house to this house, and I thought to myself when I was moving, what the hell am I doing this for? I'm never going to drink any of this stuff, ever. As a matter of fact, we had a guy who worked here. He's no longer with us, but he grew up with one of the guys behind Tito's. They kind of had a partnership a little bit. They're from the same kind of area. And he knew them a little. So every year for Christmas, what he would get everybody in the building was a huge bottle of Tito's. He was here 5 years. I have all 5 of those bottles. Like, they're all just, like, lined up in a row. My thing, it's just not part of what I do. I don't understand I can't go for a 10-minute ride to pick somebody up without having a beer in my hand. Like, that seems, well, doors is another one. Yeah, I remember the first time, were people still smoking on the plane the first time I flew? Yes. The plane seems crazier than smoking at the office. Now, I know you're at the office 8 hours a day and people were close together and that, but like the plane's little, recycled air like that. That seems strange to me. A lot of these are having to do with smoking. These are things that have gone by the wayside that Gen Z will never experience. Some people are talking about smoking rooms in high schools. My high school had smoking at school. My high school had a smoking area for students. I remember when I was in 7th grade, and when you're little and young and all that, what's going on in your neighborhood feels like it's like the biggest thing in the world. And so there had been this rumor got started. Like, oh my God, dude, wait, do you see this new girl, Michelle, who moved to town? Oh my God, dude, Michelle's crazy hot. And she was. She was crazy. She had an older brother, Chris. And Chris was kind of cool, right? So you wanted to hang out with Chris. You wanted to be with him. You wanted him to like you. And he smoked cigarettes. And I remember we were sitting on her front step one day, just kind of screwing off on a summer day. And he had told me that having moved from Menor, that they had a smoking room in the high school. And I thought he was trying to get one over on me. No Google, no Yahoo, none of that, right? So you could just lie to people's faces. Nobody could ever... And so, like, I thought he was trying to get one over on me. And I was like, dude, I'm not an idiot. You're not going to convince me. Because, like, when I was going, that would have been like, no, they don't. They don't. You would never do that. Back in the day, totally normal. So he ended up being able to prove it to me. He had smoking cigarettes in the school. I thought it was the craziest thing I'd ever seen. Crazy. People think that about, like, this company has smoking rooms in the buildings. When I first started for this company, it was called a different thing then, but I mean, welcome to company changing names. But they had a smoking room in the Cleveland building when I first started up there. I love that room too. Because still a lot of people smoked back then.